First contact and refusal. The massive silver vessel broke through Earth's cloud cover, with barely a sound, its hull gleaming in the early morning sunlight as it descended toward the United Nations Plaza in Geneva. Thousands of spectators gathered behind hastily erected barriers, their phones raised to record humanity's first official contact with an alien civilization. News crews broadcast the moment to billions worldwide, their commentators struggling to contain their excitement and uncertainty. "This is a momentous day for our species," Secretary General Maya Chen whispered to Commander Elena Reyes, who stood stiffly beside her in a crisp Navy uniform adorned with medals and insignia of Earth's recently formed Space Defense Force. Commander Reyes nodded silently, her dark eyes never leaving the alien ship. As the head of Earth's Orbital Defense Initiative, she had insisted on overseeing security for this historic event personally. Something about the timing troubled her deeply. Humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel only 14 months ago, and suddenly aliens were landing on their doorstep. The coincidence seemed too convenient. The ship touched down with perfect precision, settling onto the plaza's central pad without disturbing even a single decorative flower in the surrounding gardens. For nearly a minute, nothing happened. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, anticipation building to an almost unbearable level. Then, with a soft hiss, a doorway materialized in the ship's seamless hull. Three beings emerged, walking with a fluid grace that made them appear to glide rather than step. Their skin shimmered with an iridescent purple-green hue, and their elongated limbs moved with deliberate precision. The tallest of the three stepped forward, six-fingered hands raised in what appeared to be a gesture of greeting. "People of Earth," the alien spoke, its voice melodious yet somehow mechanical, clearly processed through a translation device. "I am Ambassador Varen of the Orion Collective. We acknowledge Earth's achievement of basic interstellar travel capabilities and welcome you to the greater galactic community." Secretary General Chen stepped forward with a practiced smile. "On behalf of all humanity, I welcome you to Earth. We are honored by your presence and eager to establish peaceful relations with your people." Ambassador Varen inclined its head slightly. "The Orion Collective has monitored your civilization's development for some time. Your species has been classified as a Category 4 developing intelligence, showing promise but requiring significant guidance." Commander Rice's posture stiffened, though she maintained her stoic expression. "The Collective is prepared to offer Earth protection, limited technological assistance, and eventual integration into our unified governance system." Varen continued, consulting a shimmering holographic display that appeared from a device on its wrist. "In exchange, we require access to your planet's rare mineral resources, particularly your abundant thorium deposits, and compliance with collective regulations regarding technological development and military capabilities." The gathered diplomats exchanged uneasy glances. This wasn't the tone they had expected from humanity's first interstellar diplomatic exchange. "Perhaps," Secretary General Chen suggested carefully, "we could discuss terms of mutual cooperation between our civilizations, as equals seeking beneficial partnership." Ambassador Varen made a sound that might have been laughter, though the translation system rendered it as a series of musical tones. "Equals? Your species has only just discovered the basic principles of hyperspace physics that collective members mastered millennia ago. Equality will come in time, after proper development under our guidance." Commander Reyes, who had been silent throughout the exchange, suddenly stepped forward. "And if we choose to develop independently?" All three aliens turned their attention to her, their large, multifaceted eyes blinking in apparent surprise. "Independence is inefficient and potentially dangerous," Varen replied, voice cooler than before. "The collective system has maintained galactic stability for over 20,000 years by properly integrating developing species into our hierarchy." "Integration?" Reyes asked, her voice dangerously quiet. "Or subjugation?" "Commander," Secretary General Chen warned under her breath. Varen waved a six-fingered hand dismissively. "Your military perspective is understandable but primitive. Category 4 species often cling to outdated concepts of sovereignty before accepting the benefits of collective membership. Commander Rice's jaw tightened visibly. She looked at Secretary General Chen, then back at Ambassador Varen. With respect, Madam Secretary, I won't stand here and listen to our species be classified like specimens in a zoo. To the shock of everyone present, Commander Rice turned and walked away from the ceremony, her boots clicking sharply against the plaza's polished stone. The cameras followed her as she strode purposefully through the crowd and disappeared into a government building. Varen appeared genuinely confused. Have I caused offense? The classification system is merely scientific taxonomy. Secretary General Chen struggled to salvage the situation. Ambassador, humans value their independence greatly. Perhaps we could reset this conversation and discuss how our species might work together while respecting each other's autonomy. But the damage was done. Across the world, people watched as one of Earth's highest-ranking military leaders walked out on the alien delegation. Social media exploded with support for Rice's stance. The hashtag not Category 4 began trending globally within minutes. In a secure conference room beneath the Geneva complex, Commander Rice addressed an emergency session of the United Earth Defense Council via holographic link. They don't see us as equals, and they never will, she stated flatly, pacing before the gathered military leaders. They want our resources and our compliance. Their so-called guidance is just a pretty word for control. What do you propose, Commander? Asked General Ibrahim from the African Union Forces. Rice stopped pacing and looked directly at the assembled leaders. We prepare alternatives to their guidance, and we do it fast. In the vast circular chamber of the Orion Collective's central governance hub, voices echoed angrily off the polished obsidian walls. 200 representatives from across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy sat in rising tiers around a central platform, where Ambassador Varen stood, head bowed in contrition. You have created a diplomatic disaster of historic proportions. Elder Keth's voice boomed through the chamber, his crystalline body structure flashing red with anger. How could you classify the humans so openly during first contact? Varen raised all 4 arms in a gesture of apology. I followed standard protocol. Their technological level clearly places them in Category 4. Protocol is for after relations are established, not during first impressions, snapped Counselor Mira, the oldest member of the collective's inner circle. Unlike the others, Mira belonged to a species known for careful thought and deliberate action. You have insulted a species that our preliminary assessments indicated possesses unusual adaptability and martial tendencies. The collective overseer, a tall being named Celian, raised a hand for silence. The chamber quieted immediately. What's done is done, Celian said, voice resonating with authority. Now we must decide how to handle the human situation. Varen, show us what you learned about this species. Varen activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. Images of Earth appeared, its cities, weapons, and people. Humans have only achieved hyperspace capability within the last solar cycle, but their development rate is unprecedented, Varen explained. They advanced from primitive atmospheric flight to interstellar travel in less than 150 of their years. No other species in our records has progressed so rapidly. The display showed human history, their wars, their rapid technological growth, their remarkable adaptability to challenges. Most concerning is their military thinking, Varen continued. Even their peaceful achievements often originate from military research. And this human Commander Rice, who walked out of our meeting, she is now being celebrated by their media as a hero. Elder Keth stood up, his crystalline form still pulsing with angry red light. The solution is simple. We must isolate them until they learn respect. Block their ships from traveling beyond their solar system. And if they resist, asked Counselor Mira quietly, then we show them the consequences of defying the collective, Keth answered, to murmurs of approval from many members. Mira rose slowly from her seat, her ancient body moving with deliberate care. I have seen this scenario before. 3,000 cycles ago, we tried to isolate the Vordae. They responded by developing weapons that nearly destroyed 2 collective worlds before we contained them. She pointed a slender finger at the hologram of Earth. These humans, they are like the Vordae, but faster, more adaptive. Isolation will only make them more dangerous when they eventually break free. The chamber fell silent as the collective contemplated this warning. Overseer Zelian spoke after a long pause. "What do you suggest, Mira?" "Send a diplomatic fleet," Mira said. "Enough ships to demonstrate our strength, but with clear instructions to negotiate rather than threaten. We must convince humans to join us willingly." Keth laughed bitterly. "Negotiate with Category 4 primitives who have already rejected us." "Yes," Mira replied firmly, "because these primitives might someday become our equals, or worse, our superiors." The collective voted after hours of debate. By a narrow margin, they approved Mira's plan. A diplomatic fleet would be sent to Earth, led by Fleet Commander Terrax, known for his balanced approach to complex situations. As the council members filed out, Mira approached Varen privately. "You showed them human warfare," she said, "but did you study their diplomacy? Their alliances?" Varen looked confused. "Why would I? Their global politics are primitive compared to ours." Mira sighed deeply. "That is why you failed, and why Terrax might fail too. These humans, their history shows they fight hardest when cornered, but build strongest when treated as equals." As Mira walked away, Varen looked again at the hologram of Commander Reyes. For the first time, the ambassador felt something unfamiliar when thinking about humans: doubt. Meanwhile, on a space station orbiting Mars, Commander Elena Reyes met secretly with representatives from 3 other species who had contacted Earth through covert channels after news of the diplomatic rejection spread. "Your stance against the collective has given hope to many worlds," said Takuri, a being with translucent skin that revealed pulsing organs beneath. "We have lived under their guidance for generations. They take our resources and give us scraps of technology in return." "Can you provide any tactical information about their fleet?" Reyes asked. Takuri's skin flushed with a blue glow that Reyes interpreted as excitement. "Better. We can provide pilots who know how they fight, engineers who understand their weaknesses, and ships to join yours when the time comes." For the first time since the aliens arrived, Reyes felt a surge of hope. Earth wouldn't face this alone. As the meeting concluded, her assistant entered with urgent news. "Commander, the collective fleet has crossed Jupiter's orbit. Their commander requests to speak with Earth's leadership." Reyes nodded grimly. "They'll be in Earth orbit within 48 hours. Tell Secretary General Chen to prepare for the meeting, and get me Dr. Sharma from the Advanced Weapons Division. We need those shield modifications now." Across Earth, factories worked around the clock. Soldiers trained for space combat. Scientists reverse-engineered technology, gleaned from the ambassadorial vessel's scans. Humanity prepared to show the galaxy it would not be categorized, controlled, or conquered. The stage was set for a confrontation that would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Showdown and new paradigm. Fleet Commander Terrax stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Collective Unity, as it entered Earth orbit. The blue-green planet filled the main view screen, beautiful but increasingly troubling. Intelligence reports show increased activity at human space facilities. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Lorix, reported. "They've mobilized their entire fleet and appear to be retrofitting civilian vessels for military purposes. They're preparing for conflict," Terrax said, his 4 eyes narrowing. "Open communication with their leaders." On Earth, Secretary General Chen sat at the head of a long table in the United Nations building. Commander Reyes stood beside her, along with military and political leaders from around the world. A large holographic display showed Fleet Commander Terrax, tall and imposing with scaled skin that shifted between blue and green, and eyes that seemed to glow with an inner light. "Greetings, Earth leaders," Terrax began, his voice deep and controlled. I come representing the full authority of the Orient Collective. We regret the misunderstanding during first contact. Secretary General Chen nodded. We appreciate this opportunity for a fresh start, Commander Terax. Terax's mouth formed what might have been a smile, but the expression didn't reach his four glowing eyes. The collective has carefully considered Earth's situation. We are prepared to offer membership with special considerations for your unique development path. You will receive technological assistance, protection from hostile species, and limited autonomy within collective space. And what do you expect in return? Commander Reyes asked directly. Resource sharing, compliance with collective regulations, and permission for collective observers to monitor your military development. Terax replied. Standard terms for new members. Secretary General Chen leaned forward. And if we prefer independence while establishing trade relations as equals. Terax's expression hardened, scales shifting to a darker blue. Independence is not an option. Unregulated species present risks to galactic stability. The collective has authorized me to impose sanctions if necessary. Sanctions? Reyes asked, her voice deceptively calm. Restriction of your vessels to this solar system. Quarantine beacons to warn other species away from Earth. Confiscation of any human ships found in collective space. The Earth leaders exchanged glances. This was the threat they had anticipated. Secretary General Chen stood. Commander Terax, we will need to discuss your terms privately. You have 24 hours to accept collective protection, Terax replied. After that, sanctions begin. The communication ended, and the hologram disappeared. Commander Reyes turned to Secretary General Chen. It's time to show them our response. 6 hours later, as Terax waited on his flagship, sensors detected movement from Earth. Not the handful of ships his intelligence had reported, but an entire fleet rising from hidden bases on Earth, Luna, and Mars. Impossible, Terax whispered as the count reached 40 vessels. The new ships were smaller but more numerous, and their design was unlike anything in collective records. Even more shocking were the 7 non-collective vessels that joined the Earth fleet, ships from other developing species that the collective thought were fully under control. Sir, Lorix reported, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the human vessels. They've modified their weapon systems with, I'm not sure what. Terax gripped the arms of his command chair. The diplomatic mission was rapidly becoming a potential military confrontation, exactly what Counselor Mira had warned against. The communication system activated, and Commander Reyes appeared on screen, now wearing a full Space Command uniform adorned with Earth's new unified insignia. Commander Terax, she began, her voice steady and confident. Earth has considered your offer. We decline to be a protected species. However, we propose an alternative. Mutual recognition between Earth and the collective as independent powers, with a neutral zone established for cultural and technological exchange. Behind her, the Earth fleet spread out in a defensive formation, just beyond weapons range. This is not how collective integration works, Terax replied, fighting to keep his voice steady. Reyes smiled. Then perhaps it's time for the collective's methods to evolve. You have 6 hours to consider our counterproposal. As the communication ended, Terax realized the collective's greatest fear was coming true. Humans weren't just rejecting diplomacy, they were rewriting the rules of galactic politics. The 6-hour deadline was minutes from expiring. Commander Terax paced the bridge of his flagship, considering his limited options. The human counterproposal challenged centuries of collective procedure. Sir, his tactical officer called. 2 human scout ships are approaching the neutral boundary. Terax frowned. Monitor them, but take no action. On the lead scout ship, Captain Maya Rodriguez watched her sensor readings carefully. Their weapon systems are powered but not targeting, she reported to Commander Reyes via secure channel. They're nervous but disciplined. Maintain position. Reyes's voice came through her headset. We need to see how they react to ships near their perimeter. Rodriguez guided her small vessel in a careful pattern along the edge of the neutral zone, gathering data on the alien fleet's sensor capabilities. The scout ship commanded by Captain Hiroshi Tanaka mirrored her movements on the opposite side of the alien formation. Suddenly, alarms blared on Rodriguez's ship. Energy spikes registered from one of the smaller collective vessels. Energy weapon charging. Her sensor officer shouted, just before a bright beam lashed out, striking Rodriguez's shields. The scout ship rocked violently. "We're hit," Rodriguez reported, struggling to stabilize her vessel. Shields holding at 60%. "We did not cross the neutral zone boundary." Repeat. "We remained in international space." Inside the collective flagship, Tarax roared with anger. "Who fired?" "I gave no order." His second-in-command looked up from the tactical display. "The Vigilant fired, sir. Captain Nelix claims the human vessel was scanning our weapon systems. An aggressive act." "Fools," Tarax hissed. He opened a channel to all ships. "Hold fire. This is a diplomatic." Before he could finish, 15 human vessels surged forward, weapons hot. They moved in an unpredictable pattern, not the standard formation taught at the Collective Academy. Evasive maneuvers, Tarax ordered as the first human weapons fire streaked across space. What happened next shocked every collective officer watching. The human weapons, primitive projectiles and missiles, modified with salvaged alien technology, passed directly through the collective ship shields as if they weren't there. "Impossible," Tarax's weapons officer shouted. "Their kinetic weapons shouldn't penetrate our energy shields." In her command center on Earth, Commander Rice watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. Dr. Sharma's modifications worked, she said to Secretary General Chen, who stood beside her. "Their shields are calibrated to stop energy weapons, not physical objects moving at relativistic speeds." The collective ships scrambled to adjust their defenses, but 5 of their smaller vessels had already suffered significant damage. The human ships moved with unexpected agility, using Luna's gravity to slingshot into attack positions that collective tactical doctrine had never accounted for. After 30 minutes of chaotic fighting, Tarax ordered his fleet to pull back to regroup. 7 collective ships were disabled, while the humans had lost only 2 vessels. "Admiral," Secretary General Chen said quietly to Reyes, who had been promoted after taking command of Earth's unified defense forces, "we've made our point. Let them retreat." Reyes nodded and sent the stand-down order to the fleet. As the collective ships withdrew to a safer distance, Tarax received a private communication from Counselor Mira, transmitted all the way from the collective homeworld. "I warned the collective not to underestimate them," Mira said, her ancient face solemn. "These humans don't fight like we do. They don't think like we do." "What do you suggest?" Tarax asked, watching the human fleet resume defensive positions around Earth. "Talk to them as equals," Mira replied, "before the collective sends the main battle fleet, which, I assure you, they are preparing as we speak." As the transmission ended, Tarax looked out at the blue-green planet. For the first time in his long career, he faced a species that had not only rejected collective authority, but had the capability to challenge it. The galaxy was about to change forever. 2 days later, the great chamber of the Orion Collective erupted into chaos. Representatives shouted over each other as news of the military defeat spread. The holographic display in the center showed the damaged collective ships limping back from Earth. "This is unprecedented," shouted Elder Keth, his crystalline form now flashing between red and purple with rage. "A Category 4 species has attacked collective vessels and caused significant damage to our fleet." Overseer Zillion raised her hands for silence, but the noise only grew louder. Species that had lived in peace for thousands of years now faced something they had never expected, a genuine challenge to their authority. "We must crush them immediately," declared the representative from the Helix Imperium, a militaristic species that had joined the collective only 1,000 years ago. "Send the main battle fleet. Show these primitives the true might of the collective." From her seat at the highest tier, Counselor Mira watched with growing concern. The collective's instinct to dominate was leading them toward a catastrophic mistake. She activated her personal communication device and was surprised to receive an incoming transmission from Fleet Commander Terax. "I've negotiated a provisional agreement with the humans," he reported without preamble. "They and their allies will retain independence but agree to non-aggression. They've proposed a new form of interstellar cooperation, an alliance of free worlds, open to the collective as an equal partner. The Council will never accept equality with Category 4 species," Mira replied. "Then the Council will face more defeats," Terax said grimly, "because 7 more developing worlds have declared independence since news of the battle reached them. The humans are offering technology, protection, and fair trade. Everything we claim to provide, but never truly delivered." Mira was silent for a long moment. "The age of the collective is ending," she finally said, "but perhaps something better can replace it." 3 months later, Admiral Elena Rice stood on the observation deck of Earth's new diplomatic station, watching as ships from 27 different species docked at the massive structure orbiting Earth's moon. Some bore the markings of the Alliance of Free Worlds, while others still carried collective insignia. "The collective representatives have arrived," her aide reported. Rice nodded. "Show them in." The doors slid open, and to her surprise, both Fleet Commander Terax and Counselor Mira entered. "Welcome to Alliance Station," Rice said, extending her hand in the human gesture of greeting. After a moment's hesitation, Terax reached out and shook it. "The collective has authorized us to negotiate terms of mutual recognition between our civilizations," he said formally. "Excellent," Rice replied. "But I should warn you, we've abandoned classifications. There are no category species here, just allies with different strengths and perspectives." Mira's ancient face formed what might have been a smile. "That, Admiral Rice, is precisely why I believe your alliance may succeed where the collective began to fail. We forgot that diversity of approach is strength, not weakness." As they walked toward the conference room, where representatives from dozens of worlds waited, Rice looked out at the stars. Humanity had not only secured its freedom, but had helped create something new in the galaxy. A true partnership of equals, each valued for their unique contributions. The Orion Collective had panicked when humans refused their version of diplomacy. In doing so, they had inadvertently sparked a peaceful revolution that would transform the galaxy for millennia to come.